The Jewish boy tied a string to hide his circumcision. To survive in the Nazi army, he had to endure excruciating pain. But during physical training, an accident happened. The string snapped, and the pain dropped him to the ground. His comrades thought he was sick, rushed over to comfort him, saying tomorrow was the annual medical exam, they'd get him treated for sure. When he found out he had to strip completely for the exam, he panicked. He quickly lied, saying he had a toothache, and ran off sobbing. He may have dodged the physical, but he couldn't avoid the dentist. The dentist, using all his strength, pulled out a perfectly healthy tooth. The pain jolted the boy awake. He staggered into the bathroom, looked down, and saw the infection had already spread. During assassination training, the practice dummy had a Star of David, on its chest, a symbol of the Jews. The others stabbed it without hesitation, but the boy froze. The instructor called him into the office, suspicious of his identity, because his records lacked proper ID. The boy quickly made up a story. His files were left at a Soviet orphanage, probably lost during the war. He then presented a letter from a front-line commander. The instructor lit up with a smile, calling him one of the FHR's most promising talents. Worried, the boy walked out of the archive room, only to hear a blaring air raid siren. A bomber flew overhead, dropping countless bombs. When the smoke cleared, the archive room was gone. The boy felt secretly relieved his identity would never be questioned again. The Soviets stormed Berlin, crushing the Nazis as they fell back. Their resistance was desperate and futile. The boy took aim at the Soviets, but couldn't bring himself to pull the trigger. He hated the Germans, and wanted the Allies to win. Just as he hesitated, a teammate opened fire. Terrified, the boy fled the battlefield. Seeing him desert, the instructor fired wildly at him. Thankfully, the boy raised his hands, and leapt into the Soviet position. He shouted, "I'm Jewish," and that's what saved his life. The Soviets took him to their camp, but the commander suspected he was a spy. After all, rescued Jews were usually emaciated, half dead, not lively and full of energy like him. They laid out photos of massacred Jews, throwing them down in front of him one by one. A Jew surviving among Nazis. It was nearly impossible. The commander, holding a pistol, handed him over to a group of Jews. Seeing him in a Nazi uniform, they raised their guns without hesitation. But just then, someone yelled the boy's name. He turned around. It was his long-lost brother. The two embraced in tears, overcome with emotion. To survive such chaos was already a miracle. To live through all that, and inside the Nazi ranks, his story was nothing short of legendary. This film is based on a true story. As a Jew, Sally switched identities multiple times, fleeing from Poland, escaping into the Soviet Union, then captured by the Germans, and eventually becoming a Nazi war hero. After the war, he moved to Palestine and lived out the rest of his days. One thing's for sure, besides a sharp mind, his luck was absolutely off the charts.